Let's remember, Mark was a secretary to Peter, Luke a companion to Paul. In Luke and Matthew, there are lists which enumerate the names of the disciples. Neither Mark nor Luke are on them, so they were not disciples. Graham Stanton affirms, quote, "The Gospels, unlike most Greco-Roman writings, are anonymous. The familiar headings which give the name of an author, the Gospel according to, were not part of the original manuscript." Stanton poses an interesting question. Quote, "Was the eventual decision to accept Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John correct? Today it is generally agreed that neither Matthew nor John was written by an apostle, and Luke may not have been associates of the apostles." Who wrote them? They're anonymous documents, as any scholar will tell you. The Gospels were written anonymously. None of them were signed. None of them declare themselves to have been authored by such and such a person.
The actual names Matthew and the name Mark and the name Luke and the name John were never on the documents, the old and ancient documents that we have. There was no name ascribed to them. The name Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, the names given to those Gospels, were actually attributed many, many years later. In fact, the earliest written statement that we have attributing authorship to the Gospels was as late as 300 years after the time of Jesus. So a man called Eusebius, he was writing about 300 years after the time of Jesus, he claimed that another man called Irenaeus had said that this Gospel was written by this person and this Gospel was written by that person.
As Ehrman tells us, quote, "Most scholars today have abandoned these identifications, the identifications of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, quote, and recognize that the books were written by otherwise unknown, but relatively well-educated German-speaking and writing Christians during the second half of the first century."
Because when you don't know who the author is, if you can't point to somebody and say, he wrote it, okay, let's ask him why he did it, then you don't really know.
Mark was written around 70 CE, that's 70 years after Jesus, Mark, which is supposed to be the earliest gospel. Followed by Matthew and Luke, somewhere between 80 to 90 CE. John, written about 100 CE, 100 years after Jesus.
We have no idea who wrote the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. We do know, at least we believe through generally good scholarship, around when they were written.
And none of them were written at any time while Jesus was alive, and none of them were written by eyewitnesses. They are written by people who are reporting hearsay.
When were the Gospels written? The most common datings are that Mark was written sometime around 65 or 70 A.D., Luke and Matthew about 10 or 15 years later, John maybe 10 or 15 years later, so John maybe around the year 90 or 95. You will find that there are stunning differences. In fact, there are discrepancies. Moreover, the followers of Jesus were Aramaic-speaking peasants from Galilee, lower-class men who were not educated. And their native language was Aramaic. These books are written in Greek.
And none of them were written at any time while Jesus was alive, and none of them were written by eyewitnesses. They are written by people who are reporting hearsay.